أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله أستغفر الله. Jazakallah to all of you for attending again once again. Arrogance, we might just get to cover one topic today, 41, the 41st of our 47 lessons, because it's quite a lengthy topic, arrogance. And again, definition, verse of the Quran, Hadith Pak of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, possible story and then causes and cures. Definition of arrogance, which is on the top of page 264. Arrogance is to consider yourself as being superior to others. Being superior to others. Okay. So arrogance is, if you look at the definition, the Holy Prophet ﷺ also said, Al-Kibru batalul haqq wa ghamtun nas. Arrogance, as defined by the Prophet ﷺ, is to reject the truth and belittle other people. Okay. We've got a third definition here, or a more, expanded definition. Arrogance is for a man to consider himself to be superior to other people. An arrogant person is called a mutakabbir in Arabic, and the Arabic word for arrogance is takabbur. Okay. So just takabbur jo hai, like I've got Imam Ghazali's Ihya al-Ulum in front of me, okay, and Imam Ghazali says in Ihya al-Ulum that अपने आप को महज खुद बड़ा समझना ये तकब्बुर नहीं है. Just thinking that you're big is not arrogance, because it's possible that you think you're big, but you think of someone else as being even bigger than yourself. Okay, so you can think of someone being actually bigger than yourself. In which case you're not arrogant. Point number 2, thinking of other people to be equal to you, that's not arrogance as well. If you think that you're equal to others, that's not takabbur as well. Point number 3, to define arrogance, this is not from the book. To say that kisi aur ko hakeer samajhna, belittling other people, that's arrogance. Well, that's not a firm definition as well. Okay? That's not a complete definition, because it's possible that आप किसी और को मुमकिन है कि दूसरे को हकीर समझ रहे हो, लेकिन आपने आप को उससे भी ज़्यादा हकीर समझ रहे हो. It's possible you're belittling someone, but you consider yourself to be even more little and smaller than him. Okay? So to define takabbur as just thinking you're big is not a full definition. And number 2, to define takabbur as being looking down on other people, belittling people, that's not a full definition as well. So what's the full definition? The full definition is that you've got you in your head, you've got a certain status for yourself, and you've got a status for someone else, and the status you've got for him is lower than your status in your head. That would be a more precise definition of arrogance. Okay, so let's repeat that. Just thinking someone's small, undermining someone is not arrogance, because you could possibly undermine someone but think you're even better, think you're even worse than him. And even before that I said, just thinking you're big is not arrogance, because you could think someone's bigger than you. So really it's actually having a status for yourself and for someone else and thinking his status is lower than yourself. It's a more accurate, which is generally what we think of when we define arrogance anyway, when we talk about arrogance anyway. But Imam Ghazali's gone into sort of depth. And just that extra point I mentioned as well, thinking you're equal to other people or other people are equal to you, that's not takabbur as well. That's not arrogance. That's jais. Allah Pak says in the glorious Quran, Spara number 14, Surah An-Nahl, verse number 23, إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْتَكْبِرِينَ. Indeed, he does not like the arrogant people. لا يحب. In another verse, Allah Pak declares, وَلَا تَمْشِي فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا إِنَّكَ لَن تَخْرِقَ الْأَرْضَ وَلَن تَبْلُغَ الْجِبَالَ طُولًا. And do not walk arrogantly on the earth. Undoubtedly, you will indeed never tear the earth apart and will never reach the mountains in height. So don't walk as though, don't strut on the ground as though you can split the ground apart, or you can make mountains split up into two. Regarding proud infidels, he states, Allah Pak states, فَادْخُلُوا أَبْوَابَ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا فَلَبِئْسَ مَثْوَى الْمُتَكَبِّرِينَ. Now enter the gates of hell, remain therein forever. So what an evil abode for the arrogant people. So a lot of the people who are kafirs, even in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they rejected Aka Kareem's message due to arrogance and due to jealousy. So arrogance can lead to takabbur as well. Arrogance and jealousy can lead a person out of the fold of Islam as well. So they're very, very dangerous. Arrogance and jealousy being the first sins committed by, his first sins ever to be committed by the shaitan. Blessed hadith, the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam declared, on the day of judgment, arrogant people will be raised in human forms, but like ants, tiny. So they will be humiliated from all directions. They will be dragged towards Bulas, which is a prison in hell. It's a prison, yeah, Bulas, ba waw lam sin, Bulas, in a prison in hell. They will be engulfed and overpowered by a huge fire. They will be forced to drink tinatul khabal, which is the pus, the peep of the hell dwellers. Okay. So three types of arrogance. Three types of arrogance and the rulings regarding each. Arrogance, number one, the worst type of arrogance is arrogance against Allah Almighty. This type of arrogance is disbelief, like the disbelief of Pharaoh, who proclaimed, "Ana rabbukum al-a'la, فأخذه الله نكال الآخرة والأولى." Pharaoh said, "I am your Lord, I am your Rabb." Allah consequently seized him in the punishment of both this world and the hereafter. For Pharaoh's guidance, Allah Almighty sent Sayyidina Musa, Kalimullah, and Sayyidina Harun, his brother, alayhi salam, but he rejected both of them. Hence, Allah Almighty drowned him, Pharaoh, along with his followers in the river Nile. The honorable Quranic commentators have explained that Allah Almighty made the river spit out Pharaoh onto its bank like a dead buffalo in order to make him a symbol of divine admonition for the remaining Israelites as well as other nations, and so that it would become absolutely clear to them that Allah Almighty punishes tyrants and people who exhibit arrogance against Him by casting them into the depths of humiliation and degradation. So that's the first type of arrogance, someone to be arrogant against Allah Ta'ala, to think he's God himself. That's the worst type of Pharaoh, to think someone's God himself and want people to worship him and to disbelieve Allah Ta'ala. The second arrogance is against the blessed messengers of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This type of arrogance is also kufr, disbelief. It is when someone opposes a blessed messenger due to arrogance, ignorance and animosity. In other words, for someone to think, I am superior and honorable, why should I obey a man who is just like any other human? Ma'azallah. That's what the kuffar used to say, he's one of us, ma'azallah. This was uttered by some infidels arrogantly about our beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Quran Kareem says, quotes the kafirs, أَهَذَا الَّذِي بَعَثَ اللَّهُ رَسُولًا. Is this the one whom Allah has sent as a messenger? So remember, the Quran Kareem quotes the kafirs as well, that they used to say this. So the quotes of the kafirs. They also remarked, this is also in the Quran Sharif, لولا نزل هذا القرآن على رجل من القريتين عظيم. Why was the Quran not sent down upon some chief of these two great towns, i.e. Makkah and Ta'if? So Bazahir Huzur alayhi salam, from a brotherly point of view, he was in their eyes, he was in the Chaudhry or the chief of those two towns. So Allah Ta'ala is quoting the Kafirs in the Quran Sharif. These are the type of things they used to say. If it was one of the chiefs of Makkah or the chief of Ta'if, maybe they would have believed, but these are the kind. So this was arrogance, thinking if it's not a chief, if he's not from our brotherly, if he's not from our bloodline, then so that's kufr as well. Number 3, arrogance against other humans. Meaning arrogance against anyone other than Allah Almighty and His beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Meaning to consider yourself superior to others whilst belittling them, wanting to assert your authority over them and detesting equality with them. Even though this category is not as condemned as the first two were kufr, yet this too is forbidden, is haram and a major sin, since greatness and superiority only befit the true King, Allah Ta'ala, rather than feeble, weak servants like ourselves. So this third one can actually lead to one of the first two as well. So that's why takabbur is haram. Any sin can lead to kufr as well. So it's always got to be avoided. A story, a tremendously sinful Israelite. When we talk about the Bani Israel, we're talking about the Jews and the Christians, the children of Hazrat Israel. Israel was the name of Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam. So Israelites means the children of the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, and that generally means the Jews and the Christians. A tremendously sinful Israelite once encountered a highly devout worshipper who was so pious that he was shaded in the sun by clouds due to his piety. So he's a gunahgar, but he sees a neck person, and the karamat of this neck person is that clouds shading him from the heat. The sinner thought in his heart, I'm a grave sinner belonging to Bani Israel, and this is an extremely devout, pious man. He's a wali, he's a Sufi. If I sit with him, then hopefully Allah Almighty will have mercy on me. With this in mind, he sat next to the worshipper. The pious man, however, he disapproved, and he thought to himself, this good for nothing sinner is nothing compared to me. How on earth can he sit next to me? Iski auqat kya hai? Hence, the pious man rudely rebuked the sinner disrespectfully. Get away from me. Following this incident, Allah Almighty sent a divine revelation to the Prophet of that era. Tell both of these men, both of them, to restart their deeds from the beginning. The sinner, I have forgiven the sinner for his pleasant opinion about me because of his humility. So his sins have gone, so he's at zero. He should start again, his deeds. And I have erased the devout man's virtuous deeds due to his arrogance. So he's gone back to zero because of his arrogance. His neki are all gone because of his arrogance. The others, gunah have all gone due to his remorse and his tawbah, his regret and shame. 8 causes and cures for arrogance. The first cause of arrogance is knowledge. Okay, so these are the things that make us arrogant. Knowledge. Sometimes a man becomes arrogant as a result of possessing extensive knowledge. Okay, so this obviously khususan with the ulama and imams. Anyone, knowledge of any sort in any field, even at university, someone who's a professor or someone who's getting better, even in school and colleges, if you're getting A's all the time, then when you see and you know someone's always getting B's and C's, arrogance does affect you, but especially ulama, religious ulama. What's the cure for this? For you to contemplate about the eventual consequence of the devil, a teacher of the angels. He arrogantly considered himself to be better than Sayyidina Adam Safiullah, and as a result of this arrogance, he will be humiliated and degraded till Judgment Day and is destined for hell. And what if arrogance ruins us too? So Shaitan is an alim as well in that sense, isn't he? He used to teach the angels as well. 80,000 years he worshipped Allah Ta'ala, 20,000 years he taught the angels. So ulama should be afraid of ending up like the shaitan. Because the alims today doesn't mean that their khatima and iman is guaranteed and they can't lose their knowledge. Of course they can lose their knowledge. Number 2, the second cause of arrogance is worship and religious practices. Sometimes a person becomes arrogant due to extensive worship and servitude, ibadat. The cure for this, what is the cure for this? For you to tell yourself, if I worship extensively, then what great quality of mine is this? Rather, this is merely one of the millions of favors of my Lord upon me. As well as this, I mustn't forget that the only acceptable worships are ones that are sincere and fulfilled with all their conditions. Okay. So arrogance can make all my ibadat go to waste as well. I've got a beautiful quote here by Imam Ash-Sha'rani, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. About us being proud of our ibadat, being proud of our ibadat. I hope I can find it. It's about tawfiq. Yeah. So Imam Sharani, so about if we are worshipping and we see people who don't worship, so thinking my neka. Okay, Imam Sharani, who's a Shafi'i scholar, Shafi'i Sufi from Egypt, very big scholar. He said that ibadat और नेकी के काम करते वक्त बंदे को ये समझना चाहिए कि मैंने कोई बड़ा काम नहीं किया. So when you worship, think to yourself, I've not done anything special, even though ibadat is special. But think to yourself, I've not done anything big. I've done what a nokar is supposed to do. I've done what a slave is supposed to do. I've obeyed my master. And think to yourself that I don't deserve any ajr, any sawab, etc. for what I've done. If Allah Ta'ala decides to give me something, sawab or anything else, out of His grace, then that's His favor. So don't act like you deserve something from Allah Ta'ala. Don't have that relationship with Him. Ya Allah, I've done this, I deserve this now. And act as though it's necessary for Him to give you sawab, or it's necessary for Him to give you something in return for your ibadat. Because that can lead to arrogance and self-conceit. So Imam Sha'rani says, don't consider yourself deserving of anything. If He gives you something, that's His fazl. Okay? And that's the fazl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Coming back to number 3. So the first one was knowledge. The second one was worship. Third cause of arrogance, wealth. Wealth. Some people become arrogant because of their wealth. Someone who has a car, bungalow, bank balance, and servants to work for him is likely to become arrogant. You can conclude this by believing with complete certainty that one day you will most surely depart from this world empty-handed, without all of these assets. Your shroud will not include a valuable bag, or your grave will not include a storage safe. Your grave can only be enlightened by the rays of virtuous deeds, rather than the sparkle and glitter of gold, silver, and fortunes. Hence, why displease your Maker Azza wa Jal by being vain and arrogant over these mortal and temporal objects that would one day bid farewell to you? And there's other things you can tell yourself as well. Speak to yourself about how mal, you shouldn't be arrogant over it. What's the fourth cause? The fourth thing that can make us angry is family bloodline, heritage, brotherries, castes. Sometimes a person boasts about his forefathers whilst undermining other people on this basis. The cure for this is for you to discipline yourself by inculcating this Madani mindset. It is unwise to be proud of the accomplishments of others. In fact, this is ignorance. People who boast about their forefathers have been warned that they may be imprisoned in hell as a result of this. Hence, the Holy Prophet ﷺ warned, nations that boast about their deceased forefathers should abstain from this, since they are the fuel of hell. Or in the presence of Allah Almighty, they will become more inferior than filthy insects that scrape dirt from the ground with their noses. Allah Almighty has removed from you the arrogance and the boasting over forefathers from the age of ignorance. So you, O Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ said, you, O Muslims, Allah Ta'ala has removed that from the age of ignorance, the pre-Islamic era, the boasting over your forefathers. Allah has taken that away. Now a man is either pious or a believer, damned or unfortunate. There's only two categories: pious or a fasik. You're damned, or you're pious and a believer. Pious and a believer, or damned and unfortunate. Those are the two categories. All humans are the children of Adam alayhi salam, and Adam alayhi salam was created from soil. So you all have one God and you all have one Father. Okay. So the tribes, splitting into tribes and families, that's just so you can identify people. That's so you can have like, you can say that Funa is my rishtadar. Okay. If we didn't have tribes, castes, if we didn't have family sort of setups, and everyone was equal, you just have your mum, dad, brother, sister, and then everyone else is equal. It's because of the family divisions that you can say chacha, mama, etc. You're related. Okay. And so that when you pass away and you've left inheritance, well, inheritance, you know who's related to you, so that can get their valid share. That's why family division. And what is a tribe really? A tribe or a kabila, a caste, is just a group of people with the same, who share the same great grandfather at some point. Whether it's 5 centuries, 7 centuries, 10 centuries down, you've all got the same grandfather. And that's what a kabila is. Just when a kabila will at some point have the same great grandfather, but at the end of the day, we've all got the same greatest grandfather, which is Hazrat Adam alayhi salam. So these castes are, Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, I've split you into kabila and castes and tribes, just so you can recognize each other. So you've got recognition of where you come from, not so that you're arrogant and you boast amongst yourselves. The fifth cause of arrogance, what is that? Is status and seniority. Status, so being like a supervisor, CEO, boss, or someone. The cure for this is for you to tell yourself, being proud of a short-term quality is foolish. How long will you maintain your status and authority for? What if tomorrow you lose the status that you were so proud of today? Subsequently, you will have to walk around hiding your face from these very same people that you treat condescendingly today. Tomorrow you may well need help from one of these very people that you scream orders at today, which will consequently annihilate your arrogance. For this reason, you should never forget your true status, no matter what position, seniority, whatever, what kind of supervisor or boss you are. What's that saying in English saying? Be kind to people on the way up, because you're going to meet the same people on the way down. Number 6. The sixth cause of arrogance is what? Is success and accomplishment. When an individual encounters repeated success, he begins to undermine unsuccessful people. The cure for this is for you to never forget that circumstances never remain the same. People who ascend tall heights often descend back to the earth. Every excellence has a downfall. While successful, you should thank Allah Almighty rather than becoming self-conceited by considering the excellence to be your own personal achievement and undermining other people. You should also tell yourself what I am considering to be success is only temporal, earthly prosperity which will terminate one day or another. True felicity, true success is for me to depart from this earth with my faith safe, for me to prepare for the afterlife whilst on this earth, and for me to please my Creator Azza wa Jal. And the seventh of the 8 causes is what? Is physical beauty. So we've had knowledge. We'll summarize them at the end. Physical beauty. So some people are handsome. With women, it's attractive. And so thinking that because you're physically taller, smarter, you got a better physique than other people. Aesthetic beauty and allure. Sometimes humans become arrogant due to their physical appeal and beauty. The cure for this is for you to contemplate carefully about your beginning and end. My beginning was an impure drop of semen. My end will be a rotten corpse. And never forget that beauty never remains the same throughout the different phases of life, or rather it deteriorates with age. Another fact to never forget is every day this beautiful and handsome body of mine discharges urine, excrement, stinking sweat, dirt, and other filthy substances. I clean my urine and excrement with my own hands. Should I be boasting about my physical beauty and appearance despite these truths? Of course not. Okay. And the 8th thing that makes us arrogance is strength and power. Strength and power. Some tall, physically robust, wide-chested people undermine physically inferior individuals. The cure for this is for you to scrutinize your ego, your nafs, like this. Strength, might, and speed are also qualities possessed by animals. In fact, they possess these qualities more than humans. Okay? An elephant stronger than us. What other animals? Cows or camels are stronger than us. So then why be arrogant over a quality that is shared by both animals and humans? If strength was the measure, the standard of superiority, the cow is better than us then, and they're stronger. Other animals, elephants are better than us. Do not forget that our strength and might totally deteriorates as soon as we are even slightly ill. We are unable to endure the slightest bit of heat. If God forbid, due to this arrogance, tomorrow on Judgment Day, Allah Almighty is displeased with me and I am sentenced to the scorching heat of hell, then how will I endure it? Okay. So those are our 8 causes and cures, and try to read further on the topic of arrogance as well, how to identify it, how to avoid it. So the 8 things that cause arrogance: number 1, knowledge; number 2, worship and religious ibadat; and number 3, wealth; number 4, family bloodline; 5, status and seniority; 6, accomplishments and success; 7, physical beauty; 8, strength and power. May Allah give us tawfiq to avoid arrogance, inshallah. And as I said, the first ever sin to be committed, and as I said at the beginning when we defined arrogance, thinking you're equal to other people is not arrogant. It's when you think that you've got a status and someone else has got a status. And you think theirs is less than yours. Just one more thing, which I read somewhere, which is important. You know, thinking you're humble is a form of arrogance. Thinking you're humble is a form of arrogance. How can thinking you're humble be a form of arrogance as well? You know, if I think I'm humble, okay, and I'm thinking to myself, well, And for me to have thought that I was humble means that I must have thought that he's got a certain status, mine's up here, but I'm behaving like I'm here. So I've thought of even in that process, I thought of being up here. That I actually think I'm better than him, but I'm acting like I'm not better than him. Well, you thinking you're better, that was the arrogance. So sort of really, just think others are better than you. So even in sometimes thinking that you're humble, there's a hidden subconscious arrogance there. ये समझना कि मेरे अंदर आजिज़ी है. You must have thought that you were better than him in the first place, and that's why you've dropped yourself to be below him. When you're thinking in the first place that you're better than, that was the arrogance. So be very careful. So shaitan messes with our heads a lot. You cannot be thinking you're humble when you're arrogant. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم أستغفر الله. There's a book called Arrogance, Just Arrogance, published by Maktabatul Madina as well, called Takabbur, Just Arrogance, and that's about, I think that's 50, 60, 70 pages long. That's worth reading as well.